Hey y'all, welcome back to Amped 2. I'm Insetic. With me on this is Blank Tester,
Hey kids, how's it going?
Turo,
Hello.
and Zindictive.
Sup, lads?
And in this video, we're headed to Bear Mountain 1. We beat Event 1, and so we're heading in with board points and some of those extra little tweak grabs we got in the Pro 1 challenges. So, yeah, we're starting on Gold Mine here.
Nice.
Nice. With a sick little rail in front of us, so, well, let's first... This is something I just decided to do, like, show you the tricks that are necessary to own the mountain tricks at the start of each of these. So, yeah, let's get some air and,
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, restart.
No, but this first rail is really good for practicing your rail style, especially spinning on rails, which you're gonna see here. Whoosh. Because this can get you a whole lot of style. So yeah, if you're wondering how you do that, basically when you're grinding, if you're not holding anything else and you just hit a trigger, you'll do a rail tweak, and that'll be one thing. But if you hold the grind button while grinding and then hit a trigger, you'll start spinning, which you can also half hold to style that. And that honestly, spin rail styling is like one of the best ways to get style in this game.
It's
Pretty
the
much.
cheese. It's how you get some of the high scores on a lot of levels. It's a lot like media on a gondola wire from the first game.
Yeah, so you'll see like jumping up onto, ski lines or gondola wires and doing some really long grinds and spinning those out for, how to get style in later parts of the level.
Yeah, I mean, he's cheesing, he's steezing.
Yeah, you'll also notice that I'm jumping off of basically every rail myself rather than letting the game just put me off the end. That's because this is the kind of game where, like, if you're grinding sideways and you grind a rail that goes straight into the ground, you will crash. Like, it will crash you because, hey, you're sideways leaving it. And even when the rail doesn't go straight into the ground, like, even when it drops you off, if you're sideways, it's never clear how quickly the game is going to correct that for you. Sometimes it corrects it really fast, sometimes it doesn't. Hell, sometimes you crash even when you're going, oriented correctly, and a game drops you out right onto the ground. So I always just take that into my own hands, and jump off of a rail and manually fix that myself. It's just one of those things where you kind of deal with.
When you jump off the rail, does it straighten you out, or do you have to straighten yourself out?
You'd have to straighten yourself out.
But you know that it's coming up, so you do it.
Yeah.
You have to preempt it.
Oh, 1 point too little.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
And 1 point too little there.
God,
Getting just a nice round number.
so many point blinds.
Uh-huh. But yeah, so every time you get skill points, then that's when you can also adjust your board skill points. I mean, you can always back out, out of the mountain range and put your board skill points in the main menu, but it gives you the option to do so whenever you gain skill points, as part of the main, own the mountain high score media parts as well. So yeah, we saw Gold Mine, now we're heading up here to Outlaw.
We're outlaws. We've broken the law at the gold mine. Now we have to go to outlaw because that's where
Oh
they
my
send
God.
all the outlaws.
That's the
Sorry, so
story.
Usually you would imagine an outlaw would bury their ill-begotten goods in a mine. But you're saying they committed the crime in the mine?
Yeah, and now we've been exiled to outlaw.
What crime did we commit in a mine?
Felony murder.
I don't know, murder?
Yeah.
You can still kill
Yikes.
people in the mine.
I mean, yeah,
Actually, we only committed misdemeanor murder.
misdemeanor murder.
Right.
I mean, it is an Insect Let's Play. It wouldn't be right if there wasn't somehow a murder that took place.
Yeah,
Right, it's been a while since I've killed people in these videos.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't played a lot of games that have a lot of
I
possibility.
mean,
for murder.
like Rollerdrome or whatever that game is on the list,
Yeah.
and that'd be full of murder.
yeah, but
Pretty good
I mean,
game.
traditionally we sort of count the accidental murders or the incidental murders, I guess, more than accidental, right? But like, when you've got a gun and you aim it at a person and you shoot them in a video game, that's a little bit less special to me because that's the point of the game.
It's like the Batman principle of it, where it's like you're only really counting the times he kills people because the whole principle is that he's not supposed to kill
Yeah,
people.
yeah, like the
Yeah.
extreme sports of it is not about the shooting people. That said, not to say anything wrong with that game. That game seems sick as fuck. I want to play that.
It's very hard. It is very hard.
Is it hard?
It is exceptionally hard if you
great.
suck and are a baby bitch like me. But
Okay.
I
Lovely.
had to
just
turn
watch
on
somebody
some
play.
assists. I did. But also that was because I was trying to beat it in one sitting because I think
Oh.
I
you had to
a
return it to
test the next
Blockbuster?
day.
Yeah, you
No.
had to return it to Blockbuster.
I had to return it to Xbox Game Pass the next day.
Yeah.
Nice.
Phil
Now it's
Spencer was
just
going to
a
ask for it.
digital Blockbuster. All right, another thing that I want to point out just before we get too far into the series. Well, of course, Bear Mountain has a lot of long rails, so use this challenge and whatever to practice your rail styling. But another thing that I'm gonna point out is that you may notice that I need to tilt my rider in the air to make sure I land on a downslope. Like land with the slope, which normally isn't much of a problem when I'm flipping or like corkscrewing or rodeoing. But when I'm just spinning, that often, means that I have to manually, reorient my rider in the air because they go off of a ramp. That's kind of an
Yeah.
upslope, and so you're not aligned with the downslope. And that makes it even weirder and harder when you do an odd degree of rotation, like a 180, 540, etc., where the game kind of sees you as quote-unquote backwards, and you'd actually need to hold down to rotate your guy forward.
Your spin direction is relative to your rider, not to the camera.
The camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's one. Another reason why I don't really like to do like 180s, 540s, whatever, because I've landed switch and you have to deal with switch afterwards. But two, yeah, that's something where that just comes with practice. And yeah, is it something the game probably should have been better at? Yeah, and they did fix it for like Amped 3, but free food.
Chris
That's
B at the
free.
hole in the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
My God.
free,
Burgers
free
and-
mountain food.
Hot dogs and
Man, if I
Yeah,
lived
that's
in
marketing.
like, if I lived in like a ski town and like I was sponsored in a way that gave me free food for the rest of my life, I would never leave. Like
Pretty much.
I would just live there forever. I'd just set up a tent like outside the shack and just that would be my existence.
Do you guys ever make a joke that is so funny to the person you tell the joke to that you remember their reaction anytime you hear the words again, even outside of the context of that joke?
Pretty
I'm
much.
excited to hear
Yeah.
what this joke was.
You just said the words hot dog, and I'm just thinking about. We were doing a Steel Donut video. We were talking about Scooby Doo, and Scooby Doo has a cousin who's like a female dog that was like his love interest, but also his cousin. And to end the conversation, and I remember I killed Blake with this. I said, "Well, to sum it up, all I gotta say is hot dog."
yeah.
And I just killed him with it. And now anytime I hear the words hot dog, just like people talking about Costco or something, I think back to that moment.
In a
hot
previous
dog.
alternate universe, we did also talk about the story of Alvin and Brittany. I forgot how that came up, even though it was literally like 20 minutes ago now.
It,
The
it
same
was
exact location, pretty much.
yeah, same
pretty
exact
much.
location.
It's because there was a big SDC logo on screen briefly,
Right.
and we all
Yeah.
subliminally thought of our favorite SDC moments.
No, I remember if you'll let visual stuff count as well. I remember your reaction to some of the True Blood stuff.
Yeah. I
Every-
remember
and
going
so every
blind
time-
watching the first time we made that one shot of you going up on the stage, and it looked so preposterous. I started laughing, and like I went like lightheaded, and then
That's
like
exactly
my
what I was
vision
thinking of.
straight up faded to black. Like my vision, I like went like my blood flowed to my eyes. Like must have gone down badly or something because I just couldn't see for all of 30 seconds because I was laughing so hard. My eyes were open
Yeah.
Your heart
and
was
light
so
was not
desperately
entering.
pumping blood because you were
Yeah, my
laughing
heart
so
could.
hard.
Yeah, it could have been a fatality.
SBD! SBD, bitches!
No, it was the moment when True Bloods is receiving an Oscar and he's walking up on stage, and we didn't even green screen Connor at all.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't chroma key the background at all. It's just a rectangle of him standing in front of a green screen, moving. Like, he's like 4 times bigger than the stage because we couldn't get a better picture of the stage.
Yeah.
And like everything about the effect looks like total dog shit. And Connor puts it together. He's like, "All right, here's our first viewing of it." And play. It just killed me. Almost literally. Almost had a goddamn stroke.
Party at the Hood House. Ooh. Yeah. So as you saw, you could try and balance, you could try and butter, but if you really want to pass the challenge, if you want to cheese it, you could just like do a butter and then quickly hold one of the triggers and just do a spin, and the guy thinks that's all right, but all right is good enough.
All right. is good
Now I'd
enough.
say for this challenge, maybe just like a little aesthetic challenge, try and do this without any grab style. Try and do this with just your spin flip style.
Ah.
You know, maybe get
again,
that under your belt.
You will not be hurting for points on these photo shoot challenges for the first
Right,
few
right.
minutes
Yeah.
at the very least.
But what
Pretty
you may
much.
be hurting for is stats, because coming up is the first genuine stat check. Photoshoot 2 is literally impossible if you only have your default big air stats. And you see that even with 9, this is a pretty tough jump.
Ooh.
Yeah, so the one on Breckenridge was a lot harder, but still possible. At default, at base stats, this is literally impossible. I did a run where I didn't put any points in big air, and I saw what challenges I could and still couldn't do, and this one I just could not do. So,
To be
Yeah.
fair, from what I remember of the original Let's Play of this game, there were quite a few challenges that even with quite a lot of stats, they were bullshit, which led to the whole anatomy of a challenge thing that existed
Well,
a few times during it.
The thing though is like how much of that was bullshit and how much of that was inexperience is hard to say now, right? We're so far removed from the Insetic who made those videos that we can't even ask him, right? We can ask Connor now. What do you feel like that shit is still bullshit, or do you feel like the game's not as bullshit as you just needed to get?
I feel like I've, again, completely figured out what the game wants most of the time, and am able to work within that.
Because that's sometimes that's bullshit. Sometimes for sure that's game design bullshit. Sometimes that is good game design, right? Like when the game communicates what it wants, and then when you do it correctly, you get rewarded for it. That is, I would say, good game design, because it's saying, it's like this is the style of play they're trying to facilitate, and they reward you for it, and you do it, right? So I wouldn't call that bullshit, but we called it bullshit before.
I would say that I think the bullshit really shows up later on in the game with certain things like the tree
Whoa.
grinds and such.
Do we get to see his face squished like that again?
I think so at some
Okay.
point.
I hope so.
There is only so
I
many
hope you
pros
fail
in
this
this
challenge
game.
so we can see it again.
You get like 2 or 3
Or
times
at least
with each
later in
pro.
the game.
I'll tell you what,
That was
that half-pipe
sick.
challenge took me like 30 minutes, like 2 months ago.
Yeah, I'd
So-
say like
Oh.
the line. What I've figured out is that usually where they spawn you, you do not want to just go forward. I wish the game did a better job at, you just ride forward and like hit a jump that way. But usually you are misaligned for whatever your first jump is. And so there you saw I had to do it so I got more verticality, less horizontality off of the first half pipe to really hit the line that the rings challenge is. You know, I think the comment section, I'd be interested in hearing in the comment section again where you guys found your bullshit. You know, because there are going to be stories like that.
Yeah.
I just think that this game on the whole, even with new eyes, does not do half-pipes very good. That is not...
no.
It doesn't
Yeah.
ask you to do it too often, but that is not the last time they ask you to do a photo shoot and a half-pipe. And every time it is not a pleasant experience.
Where it
is
felt
not.
like an alien was the one who got the air that they decided was the line you had
Yeah.
to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, that sounds like bullshit.
But I mean,
I should like
it's
seen the
not
textures loading.
impossible. It is definitely not impossible.
It's just
It
improbable.
it might take you 30
Yeah.
minutes though.
Yeah.
It's impopsicle. It's frozen how stupid you are.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a fucking
Exactly.
popsicle.
Wow.
It's impossible.
You know what? I will take that on board, and I will think about that for the rest of my life.
Good.
I think
We
that
have
will
been
pick me
since
up
we
again.
heard it.
Yeah.
And you may be thinking about it in the hood. Mount Hood.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mount Hood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the hood at?
Let me look
I
it
guess
up.
I'll get that reference out of the way now.
Mount
All right. So yeah,
Hood.
we're headed to Mount Hood next time on Amped 2.
Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon is where the hood at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I need to Google it.
we'll see you then.